Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us today for our webinar, Smashing Silos for Seamless Customer Experiences. Customer experience has evolved and customer expectations have changed drastically. Now customers want sort of more personalized and engaging experiences. And companies today are trying to solve this problem by trying to deliver these personalized and engaging experiences. But there's probably one thing that's holding us all back: silos, theme of today. Now, as a small company, silos may not necessarily be a problem, but as and when people become larger organizations, silos is a problem. So over to our theme today, Smashing Silos for Seamless Customer Experience. And we have a presenter. This is Richard Davies from Freshworks and Graham Doswell from Sage Publishing. Over to you, Richard.
Thank you very much, Sandeep. So thank you for joining us today. Before we get into the Q&A with Graham, I'd like to add some context to our discussion and why seamless customer experience is so important in today's landscape. Understanding customers' needs and exceeding their expectations are becoming table stakes for businesses to compete. It's also the obvious first step in creating and delivering the experiences that customers demand. I think it's important to note that by customers, we mean anyone who interacts with your company. We're talking B2B, B2C, consumers, suppliers, journalists, distribution, anyone who comes into contact and has an experience with your brand. Forbes recently published an article titled, "Customer Experience is the New Brand." They highlighted that 89% of companies compete primarily on the basis of customer experience, up from just 36% in 2010. But while 80% of companies believe they deliver superior experiences, only 8% of customers agree. Your latest business or technology partner is easily your next customer. In the age of digital transformation, people are not silos. They have the ability to go where they wish and as such have increased expectations. Customers expect connected journeys. For example, a shopper may begin her search for a particular handbag on her laptop computer at home. Continue that session on her mobile phone or tablet while riding the train, and then visit a retail store to narrow down her selection by seeing the bags firsthand. This entire cycle should entail seamless handoffs from one experience to the next. If that customer has opted to share her location and receive contextual data related to her whereabouts, she may even receive additional offers as she moves through the store. Customers expect extreme personalization. A customized experience delivers the right information and context to the right audience at the right time throughout the engagement cycle. For example, marketers can integrate website and email campaign content as they target customers across channels and segment them according to their stated or implied preferences. Promotional messages will always be relevant and consistent, whether they are delivered through an email message, on a web page, or via an in-store display. The need to innovate is now. I recently spoke with a customer experience director in the publishing industry in one of the big four houses in regards to my experience when trying to purchase a book on their website. He informed me that he appreciated the insight, but they sell very little of their publications through this channel, and as such, it was not a priority for them. Most of their commerce, as expected, is through wholesalers, particularly Amazon. However, this comes with its own threats. 2017 saw Amazon publish more than 1,500 books across its 15 imprints, and its Amazon Crossing imprint translates more fiction than any other US publisher. Outside of its own imprints, Amazon actually controls almost 50% of all book sales across the US and 83% of all ebook sales. 36 of Amazon's publishing authors have reached more than 1 million readers in the US. Just a few weeks back, 6 out of the 20 bestsellers were from Amazon Publishing. These are real numbers. How long is it before Amazon dominate the market in the UK like this? And what strategies are you putting in place to keep winning business and mitigate the risk of losing out to more innovative competitors? The State of the Connected Customer report by Salesforce in 2018 explains that delivering a customer experience that engages and enhances your brand requires consistency across channels and devices. And that's why we're here today having this conversation about silos. We've all been frustrated by this at some stage. I'm sure that you tried to contact your utility company, your telco, or media agency to try and pay a bill, or change an address, or make a complaint, or any other reason to need support. Then being passed around department to department with no context flowing from one channel to the other. We've all been there, and it is incredibly frustrating. This is because of silos. If you've ever seen a silo, you understand the meaning of the term silo mentality. A silo is a tall structure with no windows designed to store grain. Difficult to access since the grain is deposited and withdrawn via machinery, and there are very few limited points of entry. The silo mentality crops up too often in business. Departments store information, leaving it inaccessible to the rest of the company, and resistance to share information benefits no one. In business, the silo mentality may exist for various reasons, most common being organizational inefficiency or the lack of effort to share information. A siloed organization can't act quickly or take advantage of opportunities. When information isn't freely shared, your business can't make informed, data-driven decisions about its customers. When teams don't collaborate, every team in the organization suffers. Customers today are now in control of when, where, and how they want to engage with your brand, forcing companies to shift from the traditional approach of customer service to one that maximizes customer experience. To stay competitive and deliver on their demanding expectations, brands must make themselves available across the many digital channels your customers are using. A report by Aberdeen recently states that 55% of companies use at least 10 channels to interact with their customers. Now, I don't know who's on the call today, but that's 10 channels at a minimum. I don't know what your organization is doing and what channels that you use, but you have to be able to break down those silos between them, as there's going to be an ever-increasing amount coming to the fore. Thanks for the big shift. Typical workflows consist of reading through each email coming in from over a dozen different mailboxes, manually categorizing them, and either responding to them directly or forwarding them to relevant silos within or outside the organization. With this approach to the email-based process, support teams are manually trying to categorize and differentiate queries. This can result in resource pressures based on the imbalance of workloads between teams and team members, leading to inefficiency. What companies now need is a powerful support solution with robust email ticket management capabilities to handle consumer queries across their contact base and respond via the correct channel whilst aligning to rapidly increasing expectations. This is why I'd like to introduce Graham Doswell from Sage and begin the Q&A. I hope I contextualise the conversation and give you an idea of what we're looking at today. So Graham, if you'd like to join in and just introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. My name's Graham Doswell. I'm Head of Business Solutions at Sage Publishing. I head up a department within the Customer Services and Fulfillment division, and part of my role is really designing how we use our technologies to improve workflows and implement our new products and business models.
So Graham's obviously Head of Business Solutions at Sage Publishing, who we've been partnering with for some time now at Freshworks. And we just want to look into a little bit and ask some questions in regards to the silo mentality before and how he's managed to break that down and gain efficiencies off the back of it. So Graham, how has the marketplace demand and hence customer expectations changed over the years in the publishing industry?
Yeah, as an academic publisher, over the past 10 years or so, we've diversified our product range beyond traditional books and journals. This has actually brought us into more direct customer contact with our library customers and more regularly. Our product portfolio is needs-based, our marketing is extremely customer-centric, and therefore our support is really expected to be centered around the customer as well. I found that support has become a key part of the sales call. Sales teams have really limited time with their prospects and obviously want those conversations to be positive. Our aim on the support side is to limit the time taken up in those discussions around support issues through providing good, up-to-date information and making that discussion a positive one. So how have we done this? Up until our implementation of Freshdesk, we used a laundry list of email addresses that went through a mass of shared inboxes in Outlook. It was difficult to manage well, and we caused our team significant difficulties in servicing customers. As a result, we saw inconsistencies in the service offerings between the contact points and really difficult workflows when it comes to collaboration. Our business is actually quite complicated. And so there are areas of speciality that mean that to give a good service, questions need to go to the right people at the right time. Of course, under this approach, with Outlook inboxes, these specialist queries were really mixed in with the more simple ones. And to understand the needs of what needed to happen required a lot of triaging, which takes quite a bit of resource up. Our move to Freshdesk saw us able to get our queries to the right people, meaning an end to frustrating delays while something was passed between teams. Also, the transparency we get from seeing not just the ticket itself, but the history of the customer engagement with us allows us to understand each query in the context of the customer's overall experience with us and take the appropriate action, and then move those queries between teams as and when needed without the customer really needing to start again.
Greg, just on that point, when you mentioned customer, I know I raised it at the beginning, but you view your customers as contact points, so not necessarily a B2C consumer. You explained to me how your organisation looks at that as well. So, what kind of interactions do they have? Does Sage Publishing have with departments outside of your initial infrastructure? So, the contact points, who are they likely to be with your organisation?
As an academic partner, we're really partnering with people across the academic ecostructure. And so really someone that's buying books or journals from us might actually also be writing for us. And so there's this real sort of partnership that happens. And we really need to understand those engagements holistically rather than on a transactional basis.
Thank you. So, how did you go about breaking down the siloed mentality and creating a unified vision of customer experience that fosters improved collaboration and delivers seamless experience across all the channels?
Well, first off, I don't think there are many people that actually want to be in silos. They're forced to be there by the technologies and structures that we provide. There are, of course, many that like structure around their day and want to keep control of their area, but that's not really the same thing. So I found that by showing them that we could use technology to break down the logistical challenges from our current setup, it really opened up the possibilities. There was a lot of goodwill from resolving the issues that we had. So we all felt the pain from difficult collaborations. So using Freshdesk to unify the groups was a little like pushing against an open door. Everybody wanted to do this. Of course, there were challenges. We really needed to settle on things like ticket design, consistent SLAs, routing and reporting. But I found because of that goodwill that we had from the advantages, that it was fairly self-evident that we wanted to go down this path. I introduced change quite slowly, so we could really get to grips with the new system and then gradually introduce new concepts, centering on consistency and collaboration. And our central message has always been that our improvements will be continuous rather than one big central change. So we've been really trying to engage with users and gathering their ideas and seeing what changes they would like to see improving in our service, and then make those users really part of the process.
Okay, so looking into obviously the implementation, the use of Freshdesk, how quickly did you start seeing value of Freshdesk, and in what areas?
Pretty much instantly, and that's because we had some real performance issues in Outlook. Resolving those and being able to get metrics out of the system were really big wins straight away. Since then, we've seen improvements in how groups work together as and when we move groups into the system. And we've also launched some new products, such as our preprint servers, where queries were either of an editorial nature and needed to go to one department, or a technical one where they needed to go to another in a different part of the business or actually a different part of the world. And because we were doing this straight away in Freshdesk. We were able to create a single point of contact and a knowledge base and really give a really good service out of the box, which felt like a really big win.
So how many mailboxes and teams are now collaborating through Freshdesk?
A lot. We've actually moved around 50 different email addresses, and that services about 10 different functional groups across the departments and the globe. We've kept all of these email addresses in the system, but we're going to gradually retire them to really focus on getting towards a central point of contact or using portals to manage queries and really consolidate that list.
Just picking up on what you mentioned there around the globe, obviously implementing something like Freshdesk in an internal team within your office of the UK would probably be quite an easy feat. But in terms of implementing it across the globe, did you face any challenges with that?
We needed to implement good change management and good training. Our reporting structures mean my team's around the globe already, so we've got a good mechanism for training people and keeping in touch with our teams. But we needed to be cognizant of making sure the support is available throughout the night for when we move things in and training those teams. And we traveled to the locations so we could really engage with the users and make sure everything was known and there wouldn't be too many difficulties.
And the implementation of Freshdesk was reasonably stress-free then?
As much as these things can be. I mean, there's a lot of work that we needed to do to make sure that there was training, but there were certainly no major disasters.
Fantastic. So what are kind of the key metrics you're using to measure improvements and efficiencies gained from using Freshdesk?
We keep things fairly basic. We track our volumes, our response and resolution times, our first-time completion rates where appropriate, and of course, customer satisfaction for many of the teams.
And how has Freshdesk enabled you to report more effectively across the organisation?
At its simplest level, it's enabled us to do it at all. Previously, our efforts were really manual. We had people counting emails and so on, so you didn't really get that depth of data. Now we can really dig into those numbers and understand what's going on and dig right down to the ticket level, which is really great for training because you can you can link cause and effect together and really give good examples to people.
Have you found that agent productivity, although you struggled to measure it beforehand, have you found that agent productivity has risen quite dramatically?
My instinct is that it has. As I say, we've had difficulty in measuring things before, but it definitely feels like it has.
Thank you. And so, a final question for myself. What does the future hold for Sage Publishing?
We really want to increase the options for our customers. We've started to roll out more advanced self-service options in good knowledge bases to give customers the option to self-serve. And we're really looking into the area of AI and seeing what possibilities we get there. We hope to use that to route queries internally, to cut out some of the triage in, and provide materials to agents so that they can get the information they need to answer those queries much quicker. And also, I think that opens up some possibilities around using AI to help customers self-serve again, give them that option. We're also looking at the integrations to break down those silos even further, so giving visibility into other systems, CRMs, and so on, so we can really pull all of that information into Freshdesk, so that our agents get the visibility of what else is happening in areas of the organisation that they can't see at the moment, and also to push out information to others, so we really keep that unified vision of the customer.
Am I right in thinking that the implementation of Freshdesk has turned some heads in the organisation on a large scale?
Absolutely. We've been really impressed with it. We implemented it with only 8 agents. We're now up to 140. Many groups, as soon as they've come into contact with it, have seen it as the answer to a problem that they had as well. And so we've really ramped up our growth, and I think we really continue to do so.
Fantastic, thank you. So that rounds up all the questions that I have for Graham in our Q&A. I don't know if anyone's added any through the chat function. Sandeep, have we had any come in?
We have one question. I think this one's for you, Graham. I think the question is, many companies want to move away from the whole silo mentality, but are unsure of where to begin. So what's your recommendation of where could companies begin?
That's a really good, interesting question. I suppose the way we approached it was really around where we needed to pass information between teams and see where we were failing. So we could set up two teams in the same system, and then really look at how they were passing queries and information between each other, and even actually that really fundamental question is, do they need to do that at all? Can they cover the query just on their own? I suppose start small and build up, which is the way that we've done it. We really took this in terms of getting rid of Outlook, because we felt that Outlook really enforced that mentality. So by having everything in the same system, we were then able to facilitate a discussion around collaboration.
Just on that, obviously I know that you started looking at Freshdesk before my time here, but how was the process for you working with us? Did you download the trial online and then reach out to us for obviously demos and support along the way? How did that kind of process work for you?
No, I met someone from Freshworks at a conference. I'd started looking for this type of technology, and then I did the rounds and looked at all the different possibilities, looking at all the different propositions. We then trialed a few and settled on Freshdesk. For us, we were really impressed with how easy it would be to install it. And it's one of those things where you can kind of get up and running without huge amounts of IT involvement, which was a key factor for us.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Graham. One more question. I think maybe we can round this up. And I think you briefly covered a bit of this question as well. Question has come in saying, what do you see as the future of customer engagement with the publishing industry? So what is your take on that? Maybe we can round this whole thing up with that, and maybe Rich, if you can give us some final words after that.
I think that's a really big question. For us as an academic publisher, as I say, I think we have far more direct contact with both our transactional partners. So for us, that's the key. It's the university library. That's where our central point is, but also the readers. We want to help them get better use out of the products. That's a win-win. And so we want to provide increased support so that they can use our products more, and also to help the librarians do their job, and really help them in their core missions. We see ourselves as part of that. And so I think in practical terms, what that means, at least on the support side, is that we need to increase our channels, so be proactive in pushing out information, and obviously make sure that we're keeping up to standard in terms of the quality and speed of our responses.
Thank you. Yeah, so just to wrap up then, thank you very much for everyone who's joined today, and especially thank you for Graham for giving up your time and answering so succinctly and descriptively. I think I've definitely given myself some value, and I hope everyone else on the call gained some value from this webinar as well. Obviously, if you'd like any further information, then please reach out to myself via LinkedIn. I think you'll be sent through my email details and my phone number as well. So if you'd like any more information around any of the Freshworks products, or a demo, or just a conversation around what we're doing and who we are, then please reach out. So I think we'll call it then there. So thank you very much again to everyone that's joined, and hopefully I'll speak to you all soon.
Thank you very much.